Hey, I'm Cupid and I have schizophrenia. Just wanted to talk today about the causes of schizophrenia. Um, I know there's plenty of theories out there that people have had, and I did some research on it. I had I was on this Facebook group where this girl uh, said that the cause of schizophrenia has to do with not getting enough sex, and then which is totally not true. And then she explained that the reason why because I have lesbian sex, that it doesn't count as real sex. So I could get enough of it, and I would still have schizophrenia. Um, it is not true whatsoever. I did a bunch of research, never found anything that had to do with that. As a matter of fact, I think that it really pissed me off that she said that it because I have lesbian sex that it doesn't count. She mentioned that, oh, that's just oral sex, which if you are a lesbian, you know that it's not just oral sex. Um, so yeah, I don't know if there's anybody else out there that would be upset by those words, but I kind of went off on her and then blocked her because I was like, I can't do this. I don't want to end up being one of those people who attacks someone online and just yeah. So I blocked her and I was like, I'm done. I'm not gonna have the temptation of just doing something crazy. Um, yeah, yeah. So, anyways, let's start off with so scientists still have no definitive answers, but they have done studies that have provided ideas. There's no significant proof that any one thing is the reason behind schizophrenia. Um, there's no definitive answers that prove that these things here are the answers. This is just like doing a study on people with schizophrenia and finding out that these may be the case. So there's no proof out there that states why schizophrenia happens. So one possibility is genes. There's many different genetic mutations of schizophrenia, as far as they know. And I know that I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons why I have it is because of genes. I've watched my dad talking to nothing many times after I found out I had schizophrenia, and just like talking to thin air and having fights with them sometimes. And I saw myself there because I've been through that, and um, I know that I got it from him. He's not diagnosed. Uh, he has no diagnosis whatsoever. But he also grew up in a time when it was not okay to be mentally ill. And I still think that sometimes he is not okay with the fact that I am. So that's one cause. Environmental triggers is another one. Genetic changes can interact with things in your environment to boost your odds. Um, so there's different environmental triggers. I actually believe that one of mine, another reason I have it is an environmental trigger. I did drugs. That is an environmental trigger. Now, drugs cannot cause schizophrenia, but it can be a trigger for schizophrenia. So, um, so exposed to viral infections before you were born. That's one environmental trigger. Um, Odds can also go up if you didn't get proper nutrition. Um, Mind altering drugs are a common cause. So these are the different environmental triggers. There's more than just that, but those are some of the environmental triggers that can cause it. Brain structure, spaces. So another possibility or cause of schizophrenia is brain structure. So spaces in the brain called ventricles were larger. Medial temporal lobes were smaller, deals with memory. Difference in brain chemicals called neurotransmitters. So that's the brain structure. Now, other environmental triggers, other things that could be the case. An older father, problems with immune system, complications during pregnancy, low birth weight, premature labor, exposure to toxins, bacteria or viruses, lack of oxygen during birth, living in low income areas, and childhood trauma. So there's a lot of different reasons why you could have schizophrenia. Different things that could have been a trigger for it. You could have it in your genes. It could be something that was passed down from generation to generation. And as we all know, that sometimes it goes undiagnosed. So there are times in your life where, or times in certain people's lives where you may not have known that they had schizophrenia, but it was still passed down to you. Um, there's a lot of different things that can cause schizophrenia. I think it's kind of interesting to find out. Uh, I did go through many different articles, many different things just to find information. I also did a little bit of research on some peer-reviewed scholarly articles as well, trying to find the right kind of information that was more legitimate and not just an idea that someone came up with, or someone decided to write an article about. I wanted it to be like from a legitimate source. I know that there's a lot of people out there that have a million different ideas as to why certain things happen. Especially like with this pandemic right now, a lot of people are coming up with their ideas why it's happening, what the cause is, what it could be hiding. There's a lot of different things that people come up with ideas, and then they put it out there in the world, and then somehow it becomes true because someone else read it and didn't know any better, you know? And that's how rumors start. um, yeah, so I guess that's it for what causes schizophrenia. I really did think I had way more information, but I did do a lot of reading, so maybe that's why. But these were the only things that I was able to find that were um, legitimate. It was in every single article that I found, it was always the same things: brain structure, genes. Um, what was the other one? Environmental triggers. It was always those three, and then other like little markers below those, or like subtopics, or whatever you call those things, whatever things below those, like reasons that support those ideas. Um, so yeah, so those are all of them. Um, I was gonna give a little bit of information, kind of to to kind of get back on. I was gonna talk about the same kind of. I don't really want to talk about it, but I am gonna do it. Um, my words are getting all bent out of place because I can't think of the right words, and um, I was going to talk about the subject that I talked about yesterday that I had a hard time talking about. I was going to talk about when it first started for me, when the sexual stuff first started for me. I was 21, and I remember I was living with a roommate who was a friend, and I was living out in a city called Auburn. It was right after they had that massive fire out there, and I was pretty much alone most of the time, but there were still times where my roommate would be there, but she had a girlfriend, so she was over at her girlfriend's house a lot. And her girlfriend's parents thought that they were just friends, so they let her stay the night. I think that's so funny, actually. Um, but yeah, so getting back to the topic, I remember the God, I can't remember the first time it happened. I kind of remember what might have been the first time. I remember I was laying in bed and it started happening. And it's not like just a little bit of something. It feels very real. Like someone's between my legs and things like that. Like things that are, happening. It's anyways, it's it's difficult, sorry. But I remember the first time, and it was, God, it was not too, it was probably like 6 months into my year of being 21, and I had quit drugs probably a few months earlier, um, or a month earlier. It was not too long before that, and I was laying in bed, and I think it was the middle of the night. And when it first started happening, I started screaming. I was screaming at the top of my lungs, crying hysterically. I think my roommate was there. She came in and she's like, "What's going on? What's wrong?" And I couldn't talk. I couldn't explain. I didn't know how to explain what was happening. I I didn't know how to talk about it at all. It was scary. It was really scary, and I just cried. And it happened many times there, and there was times where I asked my roommate to hold me during it, and I'd just be hysterically crying in her arms. I had a few times where um, I was alone and screaming and crying, and I remember trying to find things to do, walking around, or like just doing something outside of that, and it still just happened. It wouldn't go away no matter what I did. Um, so I tried um, to find things that would stop it, and I don't remember when I came up with like grabbing that area that it helped, and like having to like sometimes grab my legs because I can feel something happening there too. And just like trying to hold myself. And I don't remember when I first started that. It must have been like a long way into it because I just had so much anxiety around it for so long. I didn't know what to do, so I would just scream and cry, um, like begging for help, telling someone to make it stop, or telling people to make it stop, just stuff like that. And I never really talked about what happened, and until now, I've never really talked about it with anyone. Um, I honestly kind of kept it to myself for the most part. I didn't explain anything. Of course, I was screaming out loud about stuff that was happening, but no one ever really knew the whole story of what was happening. Um, I would beg them to help me, but I never explained what they were helping me with. Um, yeah, so it was, yeah, gotta breathe a minute. Kind of takes me back to that feeling whenever I talk about it, or whenever I talk about anything really. Kind of takes me back to that moment or those feelings. To kind of need a minute. Um, yeah, so I really had not talked about it. There's still people in my life that, if they don't watch these videos, they have no idea. For the first time ever, I started talking about it with my therapist recently, um, very lightly. And honestly, the last video is the first time I've ever talked about it openly. And um, I do want people to, leave comments about if they're having the same issue or anything like that. If they want to have somebody to talk to about it, if they have any questions about it, absolutely feel free to talk to me about it. I also wanted people to leave comments. Tell me what you guys think the cause is of your schizophrenia. Out of all of the options or not the options, that sounds bad, but the top causes that I gave you, maybe you guys can come up with what you think your reasoning is, why it happened to you. Um, I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave me a comment below and tell me. Tell me all about what you guys think it is. Tell me why you think it is that. And yeah, I'd love to hear. I hope that you guys have a beautiful, wonderful day. It's kind of cloudy here today where I am. It's nice. I love cloudy days. I actually prefer cloudy days over sunny days, which is very odd, but I am a winter baby. Maybe that's why. I don't know. I've met other winter babies that don't have the same feeling, so who knows? Um, yeah, so I absolutely, um, I don't know what I was going to say now. Have a wonderful day, you guys. Stay wonderful, stay beautiful, stay amazing, stay awesome, stay unique, stay you. Um, and above all else, love yourself. Peace and love, you guys.